Trevor. Great job. I'm shocked. We're now joined by Ender, but in a second, the absolute madman in the top lane, Bwipo. He is en route. I can actually see him right now, but he needs to get his mic on so we can hear him. There we go. Our match of the week. We both voted for Origin. You know, it's fine.
I guess we're just idiots.
To accept
I don't know.
that right now. But yeah, it was quite surprising to me how much Fnatic had the upper hand in that match.
Yeah, I mean, I think Fnatic came in with a really cool plan, right? They left the Soraka open, which immediately drew red flags to me. I'm like, they can't do this. They're giving it to OG. Surely OG come away, but they pulled off Pantheon in the top lane, Taliyah in the jungle to really try and shut that down.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, maybe hindsight is 20/20, but if there's one person you're gonna leave the Soraka open against is Alphari if you're Bwipo, because you know that you'll have a plan, and we'll be able to ask him in just a second. So what does this mean? We were talking so much about all the drafting by OG and the fact that they had all the fundamentals down, but it seems like the playstyle of Fnatic was just a counter to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think Fnatic came in, as I said, with a really good draft overall, not just the top side of the map, but overall it felt a little bit more cohesive.
Here he is.
I would say.
Hi, congratulations.
Hi, Pantheon in the top lane, just adding it to the collection.
I mean, Pantheon's been a long time coming for me.
Yeah?
It's been a long time coming. When he was first reworked, I was grinding the living hell out of him. Even when he was disabled for playoffs, I was like, this champion is so broken. I was prepared for Worlds, and then he was 100% banned.
Yeah,
so,
unlucky.
yeah, it was a long time coming.
Yeah, so tell us then, we hyped up the Alphari Bwipo matchup a lot. You know, you last time it didn't go so well for you, so was it specifically into the Soraka or in other elements to their comp, or what was it?
I mean, I don't know, like, the draft in general, I feel like Gyoto got a bit dizzy when so many OP picks got left open. He was like, what do we draft? And then, like, their perspective of overpowered picks, like, for example, they have this huge pile on Nautilus and Misfortune, and we get Aphelios, Ornn, Pantheon for that, and it's just... From first three, I feel like they can just open the game. Like,
do you think they tunnel visioned a bit on some picks?
Oh, absolutely. Like,
yeah.
I think, but this is just OG in general. They play the picks they're comfortable with, they play what they're good at, and then they play the game. And I feel like banning the Gangplank and forcing them in an awkward situation where they're not sure where the Soraka wants to go is very valuable for us. I feel like that helped a lot.
Do you think it's, well, kind of something they have to work on, the fact that that's kind of predictable, right? The fact that you know they're going to go for certain things that work, and you know that they love those fundamentals and those game plans?
I mean, obviously it's something you want to work on, right? You don't want to have a team that's like not flexible, I suppose. I don't think that they played poorly by any means.
No.
I feel like Alphari played pretty, like, individually they played this Soraka well, and like individually they played the champions well, but like as team cohesion, it didn't feel like they knew what to do in the game.
It also didn't feel like they had a ton of options just looking at the draft, because right there you have like one ability, you have Nautilus Hook that you can play off of to like start things off, which meant, and on the other side you guys have Pantheon ulti, you have Thresh to Aphelios long-range guns, you can shut down the Ryze split push and everything too, so I don't know, like usually we talk about the OG draft kingdom, but I think they just got schooled.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really tough. I feel like Pantheon is a very strong laner, and when you lock in Soraka, Ryze as your solo laners, Pantheon's gonna have a field day no matter what you do. Like, I feel like they actually shut me down very well in the early game, so props to them. I feel like Xerxes was missing most of the time, and I couldn't really trade in my matchup, which is something Pantheon really wants to do, right? He wants to use the shield bash to jump on people and really murder them, but I was contained up until later on in the game when the team fight started, and that's when I could actually use my champion more aggressively.
Yeah, do you like to, because obviously we've seen the Pantheon Taliyah combination be in the bot lane in the LCK last year, we see it jungle mid, like I think I even saw a self-made playing jungle Pantheon on stream a whole lot too, so like I feel like having that sort of flexibility gives you so many options.
I mean, Pantheon for sure is a very strong champion at the moment. Like, he was respect banned a lot even in the coming weeks here, and just again with so many OP picks open, like one of our draft plans was just let's ban the Comfort, the Karthus out, the Gragas out, and let's just focus on leaving up so many OP picks that they don't know what to pick, they don't know what to prioritize. And when you do this type of strategy, all your players need to be comfortable playing all the matchups, right? You need to be willing to play the Soraka, and like Ornn into Soraka. You know, worst case, they put Soraka mid, or we have to match the Soraka Ornn matchup. That might not be a great matchup for Ornn, but the fact that we as a team are willing to do that and take the bad matchup somewhere so that we can have a better overall draft, I feel like is what won us this draft.
Let's dive into your top lane picks now with that in mind. So you played 9 different champions in 10 different games, I guess. So who did you double up on?
Seth.
Seth, probably. Yeah, I was going to say you love him so much. We had a segment on there at the beginning of the day. I don't know if you showed it, but we have a graphic of all of them. What was your favorite so far that you've thrown out this split?
This week was really fun. Zach and Pantheon were a lot of fun. Zach was a lot of fun. He was a lot of fun.
How long have you been waiting for the Zach pick?
Not that long. It's something that I like in preseason. There was like a bit of ripples of Zach top in Korean solo queue. There was the one trick guy. I sniped him down on the ladder, found the stream, and I'm like, this is it. You know, like I'm ready for it because I was struggling in my solo queue. So I was like, I need to pick more scaling. You know, I need to be a scaling champion. Zach, this is the guy.
So does it come from you? Do you like look it up, or does like Mithy say something, or your analyst, or?
It's mostly the players. Like obviously, when something is played competitively, like Mithy will watch all the regions and he'll be like, oh, they play this in LVP. Like even in the European Masters, like they play this. What do you think, right? But when it comes to like out of solo queue, it's usually the players that are like, oh, this guy in solo queue is like he's really like, for example, Echo, right?
Yeah.
Razork with his Echo. His another pick is like, oh, Razork's doing really well with Echo. You know, maybe we should try it, right?
Yeah.
And that's the idea that comes from the Zach.
Are there any champions right now like that you can't be practicing, like they're so far out of meta, but you just love and wish were playable?
I usually force them into the meta.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I've played 9 different champions, so I think Swain was a fluke. I'll be honest. I shouldn't have picked Swain there. It was just something I wasn't
on
sure.
Swain a lot, I gotta say.
Not really. It was just once.
Sometimes,
It was like Vladimir Swain. I'm like, give me a Swain game. You know, it's Swain. It's my champion, and it didn't go so well. But otherwise, I think that as long as you know what matchup it's good in and whatnot, you just play it. I'll give you an example from last year. I played Rengar, you know, like that was very far out of the meta.
Played a lot of Rengar.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. So I think if I like a champion, I think it's really strong, I will force it into the meta, at least in my own meta, and because I truly believe that this is the better counter pick, right? Like this is what the best I can offer to my team.
Yeah. What do you take into account? Is it like 90% it's a counter pick? Is it, okay, no, we need to think a bit more about if this comes to team fights, what I can do? Is there a split push necessary? Like, how does the selection process work? Because right now it just sounds like, I know I can beat this guy in lane, and that will give me the power to do what I need.
Not really. Like, for example, Zach is absolutely, like, he's miles away from a lane counter pick,
but
right?
still versus Kled, you were doing very well.
In lane, not
You knew
really.
your
I was getting
limits. You
pressured
knew your
quite well.
limits.
I mean, obviously, I knew when I could trade and whatnot, but that's like normal, right? You need to be able to play the champion. You need to control, pilot your champion, whatever you want to name it.
Yeah.
But for example, Singed, Zach, these are like more game counters. You know, it's very hard for the enemy team, the enemy AD carry, especially in such an AD carry focused meta. MF, Aphelios, right? Zach, so much value. You know they're going to pick MF into Aphelios, or they're going to pick Aphelios. And if they pick Ezreal into whatever, because they want to be safe from Zach, well, good luck having your Ezreal kill Zach.
Dude, I feel like I feel like so many of your top lane champions, like I heard you just talking about like getting the enemy ADC, like Rengar, Zach, Sims, like all these guys are just running straight at the enemy backline.
Yeah.
Do you just hate bot laners or what?
No, I mean it's just it's just a niche in the meta, right? Like when Senna Aphelios are strong, you have to ask yourself, like, yeah, I mean. Fiora is a great champion as a counter pick and whatnot, and she definitely has room to be seen to be played. But ultimately, when you're thinking in the LEC, how is the game's decided? Am I backdooring with Fiora and ending the game, or am I grabbing that gangplank and going into a team fight? Am I grabbing the Zac and making some AD carry's life miserable? It's usually the 5v5s that decide how the game flow goes. At least there's at least one 5v5 fight, and I feel like when you're going on stage, this is something you should definitely consider as a team. It's like when I pick this champion, my lane might not be great, but the team fight value it brings is so huge that it's a worthy counter pick.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, you are turning into quite, I mean, you've always been a very high impact player, right? But now with all the picks coming out more on the regular, for both teams, yeah, that's actually, you know, that's the definition of that. It means that you kill a lot of people, but you die a lot as well. But you know, you carry a lot of the brunt of the damage on Fnatic, and especially now that you're bringing out the picks on the regular, it's not like, oh, we know that Bwipo might do it. It's, you do it constantly, and I think that instills a bit of a fear in the drafting for the enemy as well. So I think that's a huge boon for you guys.
I mean, I wouldn't like to play against someone that has all these champions. I'll tell you that, I really hate it. You know, like, I'll give you an example of a player, the Shy, obviously. He's like, oh yeah, does he pick Riven here? Oh,
what's he gonna do?
Like, is he gonna pick Riven there? He has Lucian too. Oh, he's playing Lucian, Riven, he's playing Kayle. Like, you're just like, what is he gonna pick there?
You have
And at some point, you're just like, I'm decided, I'm picking Aatrox, I'm banning X champion that counters Aatrox, and I'm going in. He can pick whatever the hell he wants. Like, and that's just it, right?
And then
you're just
3-0.
Yeah, and then you just go, you throw yourself to the mercy of this guy's champion pool. You're just like, you know what? Whatever. Play what you want. I'm playing my champ. I'm done.
Oh, I love it. Let's take a look at the standings. They're also pretty bonkers. You're now actually tied in first place, which is something that's never happened either. So Fnatic, G2, Misfits, and Origin. That's insane. Like the race for first place, and of course the implications with that coming for playoffs 1 and 2 is also pretty crazy. How are you feeling about your split and your chances of grabbing #1 before playoffs?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
I have to say, and this is my personal experience, as well as from what I've seen, is I feel like G2 is a little bit weaker with the swap. I think that Perks being AD carry and Caps being mid was better for them, at least in a best of one setting. I'll give you that much. Because I feel like Caps is a player, when he has the freedom, he can do a lot more. That's how I feel. I don't think Perks is playing bad by any means. He's having a really good split. But I feel like Caps being more contained in the bot lane and not having that explosiveness around him, right? The idea of what's Caps going to do next. Well, when you're playing MF, there's not that many options. And I think that maybe when you come into best of fives and then they really start hard flexing mage champions and they're not like fully focused on playing AD carries, which is something I feel like they're saving because they want to make sure that they can. Right? You don't want to get into playoffs and be the team that always flexes Cassio, always flexes Syndra. They want to be the team that can play everything. So in the current state of G2, I feel like they're weaker than last year because I just don't feel like Caps is that great at just farming and chilling. Like I think he's much more of a playmaker.
It goes against his nature, actually, come to think of
That's
it.
how it
Yeah.
feels.
And do you guys, because you obviously are thinking about G2 as, okay, this is the team we got to conquer because last year they won it all, right? Reckless yesterday said that he still has the feeling that when push comes to shove, they can be the strongest team. Do you think about, okay, well, they're probably going to swap back, or how, or do you guys not think about that at all?
I'm not sure.
Yeah,
it's hard to say what they're thinking. They have options, right? But ultimately, I think that when push comes to shove and they feel that way, they might. Now, knowing them, I think their ego's too big, and they'll be like, no, I'm a better bot laner than you, Perks, and I'm a better mid laner than you, Caps, and then that'll end the discussion, and they'll be like both in a corner and be like, nah. But I'm not sure. You know, maybe they have more to show again if they actually want to go flex more unique champions, more crazy champions in the bottom lane. Something I did in 2018, right? It was something that I was way more comfortable with than playing AD carries. Just a new champ every week, right? A bit what I'm doing in top lane right now, but I feel like that would unlock Caps a lot more aggressive picks, less MF, less Aphelios. Especially Aphelios.
Yeah. I'm also curious to see, like, when do we see, or do we even see, like, Perks and Caps flip between those two roles, right? Like, as you were saying with you going into the bottom lane too, like, in the past, like, I think that gives them, like, an extra level of flexibility.
If they start actually committing to that, then I agree, for sure.
Yeah, because that's what I think that would be the ultimate goal. Like, they wanted to add an extra layer. But let's talk a bit about Fnatic, of course. I mean, we're always talking about G2. We get enough tweets about it. You guys now, again, first place. We had a long conversation yesterday with Reckless about the team and the team atmosphere and what that, and we brought up the fact that, you know, you guys are an explosive team. You have a phenomenal early game, but sometimes, as you said, you guys int a little bit, you know, you just take a couple of risks.
Courtesy of me and Hilly.
Maybe, courtesy of you and Hilly, maybe amplified a bit by Selfmade, but what's your vision on the fact that that happens? Because Reckless basically said, we're doing it as a team and we're going to stand behind it, and we're never going to blame anyone for taking those chances. We win and lose together.
I mean, if it's like an actual int, like it's like we're all like, it's probably not a good idea, and you still go for it, then it's obviously on you. But normally, like, people are like, okay, this will be our best shot, and then you're looking for something and it doesn't go well. There's times where we're obviously desynced and we're not on the same page exactly because there's so much hectic communication going on. Because games like these, for example, against OG, like, everyone has a different idea of what's happening, you know? For example, Nemesis in the comments is like, it's fine, guys, we'll just get a couple of Orin items and I'll be chilling, you know? And meanwhile, I'm playing Pantheon, I'm like, oh, no, fine. You know, and then Selfmade's like, we should look side. And I'm like, oh, I want to drop mid. And then the game gets hectic, and then Hilly gets lost into the topside river, and you're like, oh, wait, what's happening?
Yeah, like somebody's like put a leash on and be like, wait, no, don't go too far away. No, like, do you find that happens in a lot, or in just like a few select types of games where like the comms get hectic, people are on different pages, and do you have a way to like sort of reorient and group back together?
There's always someone that's like, guys, let's calm down. Like, let's slow down the communication.
Is it you often? Or?
It depends on what champion I'm playing. Honestly, it's just the champion, you know, like you feel it.
I feel like you turn into the champion you play.
I mean,
like,
you get in the same mindset, you know?
Yeah, okay.
But I think usually it's someone. I'm not sure who, but someone usually plays the role of, guys, we're chilling, we're scaling, don't worry. And you know, even when we lose a fight, for example, we died mid when Reckless and Thingy died, and then we split up and something bad happened, and Reckless was like, it's fine, guys, I'm playing Aphelios, I'm going to make sure we have late game. And it's like,
okay, nice.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, just Reckless, that's easy.
There we go.
Good stuff. I don't know if you gathered it, but we had mid-split MVP discussions.
I did see that.
And it was Alfari.
Right.
Which I still think is warranted, but obviously
sure. I mean, he played a really solid game. I'm gonna put Soraka on the bench.
Yeah.
I was saying there's no way he plays Soraka today. Like I told Mitty, it's going mid no matter what. I don't believe this guy wants to play for lane. He's never gonna play Soraka. He actually played his lane pretty well. They set up slow push on me, bounced the wave, froze the wave. It was pretty hard for me to play. They played it pretty well early game. They definitely contained me, if you will. That said, he didn't really have anything after that. Like, after that, I felt that Soraka was a bit lost. You know, sometimes she was going bot, sometimes she was grouping randomly, and I feel like we always got the better end of all the trades going on the map. And ultimately, we out-team fought them and got the W on the board.
He did say in an interview yesterday that he considered you as like the second best or just as high in the top as for the other top laners. Do you think you were robbed by us that we didn't put you in the conversation for mid-split MVP?
No, I feel like
it's hard.
You either like me too much or you don't like me at all. So,
well, we like you, but his stats are insane.
I'm just saying, you like me too much and it's biased, or you don't like me at all.
KDA is bad because you die more than him. Like, that's just what it is.
It's not even about KDA. Again, he had the CS numbers. He had everything. He had all the numbers, right? I had the experience of something. I saw a stat that I had a lot of experience advantage. But again, I feel like I play like 9 different champions, right? Like, can you really rate someone as an MVP when you don't actually know what he's going to pull out?
Well, that's
hard,
an interesting
right? MVP
question.
is also about consistency.
Yeah, so this is a discussion we have often, even when we have MVP and stuff and it gets announced. Everyone's criteria for MVP can be different. What are your criteria for an MVP to be crowned an MVP of the summer split or the spring split?
I mean, I think it highly depends on like how much of a criteria someone brings. Like, for example, if someone's like a crazy playmaker and he always finds a clutch play. Every game is like, oh, the game's lost. And then, oh, this guy goes again. Oh, he won the game again. Well, I guess he's MVP, you know? Like, and this happened like 6 games in a row and you're just like, well, at this point, I guess he is the MVP, right? Or someone is crazy consistent, always wins lane, always has the right idea of how to play the game. Alfari, for example, right? Like, he's always there at the winning lane, always in a good position for his team. And then it's like, well, is Alfari pulling out clutch situations? In my experience, not so often. I could be wrong. I haven't analyzed everything he's doing, but I don't feel like he's a player that's like super clutch. He's always going to be good in the game, strong in the game, be ready to play his role, play it like immaculately, I guess is a word for it. But I don't feel like he goes beyond that boundary. You know, like he pushes for more.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I feel like he doesn't make like big mistakes either, right?
Exactly.
Like, as you said, very consistent player.
Exactly.
And he just happens to be performing at a super high level right now. So I think that's why we all value him really, really high.
Yeah, it does seem like players who are high risk, high reward, like you, for instance, they get left to the side often in things like this, right? Because it's... Yeah, I'm just thinking about the way we think
Caps
about
won MVP
right?
twice in a row, and Caps is exactly like me. And that's what I'm saying. And when Caps won those MVPs, he was that guy. He was that guy who's like, well, I guess he's pulling out Wukong and Klinger on again. And,
or Vayne and like,
exactly. He's like, oh, he's smurfing again. Oh, he's smurfing again.
Yeah, good point.
And that's what I'm saying. And that's what...
Yeah.
If I'm smurfing like that, then give me an MVP. And if I'm not, I understand why you don't.
Okay, well, that's a good point. With that, let's take a look at the Kia Player of the Game leaderboard, which is reflective of a lot of the teams that are in the top positions. Razork, of course.
Everyone's just tied, or?
Receiver, Patrick, and Finn. Yeah, they all have 3 wins. No Fnatic members, though. I think it's because they're too spread out, maybe. No?
Maybe. I mean, I don't know who won MVP today. I think Martin has a good chance of getting it. I feel like I was cleaning up mostly. I feel like I was just there to follow up and whatnot, so I think Martin played really well.
You won today.
I won today?
Apparently.
Ah, well, I guess I pulled out the Pantheon and queued some people and did a lot of damage. It looks great. The skin I use, it looks so cool. I love Pantheon in general. Such a aesthetic champion. I love playing him. The feeling I get, the whole theme around him, it's awesome. Like, I just love the champion.
Yeah.
We're just going to have you be a sellout for the whole design team. You'd love to see it.
Honestly, like, just like, my biggest regret on stage is that I have to turn on the volume of my champion so loud to hear their quotes, because I'm a role player in that sense. When I'm playing a champion, and I love hearing their quotes and getting into the mood.
I love that. So many players turn off their audio.
I wish I could turn it louder, but then maybe I wouldn't hear my teammates, Pantheons, like, shouting something in my ears.
Who's more important, really, you know?
It's just, it's how I feel like, when I'm playing a champion, like, in the pregame, when I'm having fun with my teammates and we're getting in the mood to play, like, I'm throwing around champion quotes and we're having fun and laughing about it, and it's great. Like, and that really adds an extra element to League of Legends for me, and makes it really enjoyable.
Oh, you make us so happy too. You just spread joy wherever you go. This was great. I wish we could talk for longer, but we got to go home. You know, it's been a long weekend. However, we'll be back next week with a bunch more exciting games next Friday. Misfits up versus Fnatic in Game 3. Oh, another #1 battle. What do you think? Can you take them?
Last time Dan did not have fun in the top lane, so let's see if I can recreate that situation. I don't think Nocturne's coming back, but...
Oh, right, yeah.
That was unfortunate.
That was indeed the player.
Yeah. That
Just
was
throwing a little bit of shade, a little bit of shade. No offense, the pick can work, but yeah, jokes aside, I think they're a pretty good team. They're looking good. We're going to see what we can do against them and try to show what we've got.
Do we get to see your 10th unique champion, though?
Is it coming?
Honestly, it's possible. I was thinking, like, I honestly haven't played, like, I haven't been Mordekaiser, for example, which is a rather meta champion. You know, Gangplank's coming around. I haven't played Vlad into him yet. I kind of one-upped with Swain.
Just blind Nocturne versus him and win.
I was actually thinking about that. I was actually thinking, what if I practice Nocturne and destroy him? Like, he picks Aatrox blind and I slam Nocturne and destroy him. Like, oh, that would be beautiful.
Please
Can't
do
wait.
that.
Can't wait.
No, I don't think I will. I don't think I will.
Mind games next week. Match of the week will be Origin versus Rogue as well. That's a good one. It's going to be spicy. But be sure to stick around also tonight for the LCS, where Kabi and TSM look to take down 100 Thieves. And if you missed anything from the LEC, we'll have a rebroadcast after the games in Los Angeles. For now, that was all from us. We'll see you next week for more LEC. Until then, have a great night. Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you.
You're having Trick tank it, and then you're just trying to burn it with Azir. And I don't think Vitality suspect anything. They're not moving towards this Baron at all.
Jake's gonna die. They know now. They know now. Frost.
How do play now? How do play now?
We'll try and battle like the Mr. Choice is TPing in. Now it's a true base race as Seiken goes in. The Ocean Dragon Soul is there, but Janax can't be dominating. Seiken's on the base. Seiken's on the Nexus turret. Seiken is on the Nexus. Vitality
They've done it.
for the first time in 182 days. Vitality win. Patrick is still alive, and with the Requiem coming out, Patrick's still surviving on the backline. Underwhelming, trying to get the damage down on him and gets it in the end. The Elder Dragon goes down to 4 members of Shaka, but Expector's in the base cross. Expect does it.
Now to 2 for 1. All of a sudden, Hansama is ripping through Misfits. Featherman, however, takes one back and takes Inspire down. The Emperor's device splits him out as B-Boy kills Lawson. Now Finn gets himself another. Lawson with no ultimate available. Stuff, but that's so much damage. The double up from B-Boy does a lot. All of a sudden, Razok is down. B-Boy gets taken up. It's a double kill for Hansama.
I want back. We got him. Look at map. Nice. Silas. No. Nice. Silas. Nice. It's fine. Nice.
The Cosmic Ray is once again preventing any sort of reply from G2 Esports. Yankos goes down and Humanoid looks for yet another. Oh man, Cloud Rift has spawned. Selfmade's looking for the shove. That's an instantly dead Xerxes. Bullet time comes out. Alfarian upset on the wrong side of the rift. Dredge line onto Nemesis, but really does it matter? Moonlight Vigil comes out.
That's a lot of damage.
From Reckless, and the rest of Fnatic follows up. 1, 2, 3 quick kills.